Hi friends, I thought I'd tell you about a friend of mine and a little project that I've been doing. Anybody who follows my blog ETNI, which is etni.wordpress.com, will be aware of this, but the rest of you might not be. And I guess I didn't really want this to be too well known publicly before, but some interesting things have come out of it, so I thought I might share them now. I have an ET friend who I publicly call Dude. That's of course not his real name, but just popped into my head one day and I thought it was pretty cool. Dude comes from a race called the Muajra, and I've written a little bit about that race on my blog. And if you want to imagine what he's like, I guess think about the character Paul from the movie Paul. He's a lot like that, and in fact I suspect, although he's never confirmed it, that he may have influenced the writers of that film, who happen to be the main actors as well. So some time ago I pondered the idea of doing a kind of interview with Dude, and I didn't actually think that he'd ever consent to the interview. But then one day he turned around and said yes, he was happy to do it, but he would only answer 10 questions. So I put it out to people on my blog. I could only take 10 questions, and I had quite a few questions submitted. I think there were about 60 odd, and I eventually culled them down and was really having trouble culling them down to the final 10, and got stuck on about 19, and he was actually okay with going ahead with that. So just a quick background, I should tell you how I came to meet Dude and a little about my experience before I tell you about the interview. My ex-wife worked for a covert group. I can't say who they were, but I can tell you that she worked with Earth-based ETs in one of her roles. The primary role was to track down those that were out of jurisdiction, and also to interview people who claimed to have seen ETs or UFOs. She is a gifted psychic, so was able to use those abilities in ways that most psychics can't. That's enough of that. Anyway, he is her, I sort of struggled to find the right words here. He is her confidant, close friend, and has been with her since she was about 4 or 5, and taught her many of the abilities that she has, including how to bilocate, which is to appear in more than one place at the same time, and also how to move through what we perceive of as time. I too have a very close friend. I think of as a confidant, and she belongs to the Telia race, who are very different to the Muajra. So because I was part of her life and we had a son together, he became part of my life and would sporadically appear in our house and say things and then disappear, and at times he would say things to her and she would pass things on, and at times it would be like a 3-way conversation, and I'd talk to her and she'd ask him questions and we'd sort of banter backwards and forwards. So later, after we separated, he remained in touch with me, not often, but often enough to maintain a relationship. And last year I had a very intimate encounter with him. I think I've talked a little bit about it on my blog, in which he visited me on my farm. I was back on my old farm. He told me he was coming. At a particular time he said he would come, not next time, but the next time after that, the second time you go back to visit your farm. And sure enough, he came. And there were 2 encounters on that day. In one of them he took me forward into my own future several times to see different things in my own future and in the future of other people that I care about, including a relative. I was also shown a tragedy during that event. And he also took me backwards in time to see the birth of a boab tree. You can read about that experience on my blog. Later he took me off-world in a craft to meet some individuals that I'd wanted to meet and to another world. And I haven't talked about that encounter. Suffice to say that I've talked a little bit about what it was like to interact with his sentient craft. So I've had this ongoing relationship with Dude, and he frequently challenges me with things that he says. He's also one of the people who are very closely connected to the structure that I call the architecture. The upper tier, the upper arms, if you like, of that structure, which oversees the well-being of this planet. The lower arms of that structure, the architecture, includes what people have called the military, industrial, congressional, corporate complex, whatever you want to call it. And there are some groups in the middle, if you like. So Dude is a key player in that group, and close to the ET that I call number one, who incidentally happens to be human. This is his planet of origin, albeit that I think of him as an alien because of his other roles and the other things that he does and other places he lives. So, coming back to the Dude interview, one day Dude consented to do an interview, as I said, and I worked hard to find the right questions that felt right for me. I didn't just want to ask any old question, this was going to take a lot of effort for me. So I worked very hard to find questions that resonated with my heart. I didn't want to ask all the annoying questions about, where are you from and how long does it take you to get here, and tell us about your craft and why are you here, and what do you look like and what do you eat, and all that kind of annoying stuff. I'm not interested in that sort of stuff, so I asked questions I was also interested in. As I said, it takes a lot of time to do this, so I wanted questions that felt right for me. So I think I began this last year in November, and I thought I would get it done in 2 sittings, but it actually took a lot longer, and then I had a lot of issues pop up over the summer, including risks with fire and all that sort of stuff, and bushfires and evacuations. School holidays, of course, and other commitment, and Dude was busy himself, so we weren't able to complete that. So I went back about a month ago and started continuing. So it's about 3/4 finished, that interview, and I've been publishing the transcription of that interview with Dude. And I guess the reason that I've decided now to make this video and to make it more public is, I suppose the last question that we spoke about was the question of God, and Dude doesn't talk about God per se. And so I thought his answer to that question was quite interesting, and there's an explanation as to why he doesn't talk about God. So I'll post the links, you can download that material, and make of it what you will. I really don't care. Typically when we had this relationship, when I say we, I mean my family at the time. He would sometimes pop in and my son would also see him. But there were many times when he would simply pop up in your head, he would be a voice in your head. So from time to time I would scribble down things that he said when he came. Hence the reason that I've put together what I've called Dude's Maxims, which is based on some of the comments he'd made. But for the vast majority of this interview, I haven't actually seen him. He hasn't been physically present. Well, he may have been present in the room, but he hasn't been visible. He seems to be able to move in and out of phase, if you like, materialise to different degrees. So for the vast majority of this interview, we've just been talking telepathically from his home. There are several homes he has in Europe at the moment. So I then sit at the computer while he's talking, and I write it down, and then I take a long time to edit through it because I make a lot of mistakes in recording what he says, and a lot of typos, especially the word "the," which always comes out T-E-H, T, the T virus. Anyway, so I'm working through that, so feel free to look at those answers for now, and I'll post the final answers as we complete our interview. I'm not open to answering any questions about the process or anything that came out, so you can leave your comments, but I won't be responding to anything. And I post this for, I guess the reason I'm posting is for the greater good of all people. This isn't a joke. Well, you can decide whether you think it's real or not. I'm doing it because I think it matters that people have a different perspective, and there are many people that claim to talk to ETs. It's up to you to decide whether you think I'm the real deal or not. But these are Dude's responses to the 19 questions that I asked him. So I'll post a couple of those responses now. I really would like to draw your attention to the God question, which actually wasn't the original question. The original question was, what does Dude say about Jesus, if anything? Also, Yahweh. So it was a response to that. We took the Yahweh section. The Jesus thing is a separate response on my blog, and I'm hesitant to post the full 16 pages of that. I won't actually be publishing that, but I put a summary there. So this was a response to the second part, Yahweh, which we left the Yahweh part alone and took it the way that most people interpret it, to be about God. So anyway, for your reading pleasure, I post these links below. Thanks for listening to this, and take care. Bye for now.